What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And I tell you, I've been waiting on this episode probably since the beginning of the year when Gerry and I were talking and had told me that he had something coming up and they had some big old news to come up. But guys, if you don't know, I am Colin Burnett.
Happy Jay.
So guys, I know you recognize these two fellas' faces that is on the upper corner right next to my picture. Gerry and Hunter Brousseau. What's up, guys?
Hey, we're having fun, man. We're having fun. Hang on, man. I can see all them people out there in internet land. Look at them all.
so, Gerry, you want to introduce who we have on here?
Yes, I definitely will. We got Jen Whitaker with us, who's one of the owners of Lake and Bay Boats, and she's the biggest part of the information that we're going to release tonight.
Heck yeah. So we had to do this, and it's almost like a rose in between the thorns type deal. So we had to kind of help the podcast out a little bit. So, but Gerry, I want to give it to you, the podcast over to you, and I want you to go on and just listen. I can't wait anymore. What is this breaking news that y'all have? And because you've been talking about it, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we've been planning this for probably a year or more. But I've not implemented it until we felt that the time was right, and there's been a lot of steps we've had to take, and we're super excited. And a lot of people know that I own the organization called Kids for Fishing. And we have now, as of tonight, going to announce that we've started a youth club. And Jen Whitaker is going to be the president of the board. And she has 4 other board members that we've hand-selected. I'm not one of them. I chose to stay out of it because I want to do the activities for the kids. I want to work on getting the grants for the kids. And man, we felt that this was needed. We've been through some other organizations and tried to get them to conform to some things that we thought were needed in the industry. And, a lot of them are not willing to change their ways, and we can understand that because they've been around for a lot of years. So the only way to really get what we wanted was to start our own. And, man, I can go through the list of why we formed this.
All right.
Okay. Number one is our main goal was to make this more than a fishing platform. We wanted to make this bigger, where you don't just say to the kids, hey, show up Saturday, launch your boat. All right, your boat number 7, go, weigh in. All right, you didn't win any money. See you later. Go home. We didn't want that. We wanted to be much bigger than that, much better than that. We're going to help these anglers expand their knowledge. That's the one thing that's lacking, education to the kids. There's not enough knowledge out there for the kids. We want the kids to be involved in community service programs to give back to the communities and to play an active role within their own communities. And we'll get to how we're going to implement these things later. I'm just giving you the reasons. Like I said, the educational, instead of just saying, okay, go fish, we want events outside of fishing for the entire family to build friendships and lasting memories for everybody. And it always seems to be when you go to youth club, it's just about the kids go fishing. Heck, the parents don't even know each other. As sad as that is, So we want to change that. So we have events planned that we're definitely going to change that. The other big news, man, that we're really excited about is we're going to have them working with local law enforcement to create a bond between the two and show them that we support them and we appreciate what they do to keep us safe and allow us to compete in this sport. And they don't get enough recognition, and we want to give them that recognition. And, the kids are going to love working side by side with them. And we're going to get to some ideas and some programs that we're working on with that. And then the other thing, the big thing for me is Jen will tell you the season just ended for her son and his partner. And now nothing will probably take place between now and the fall. The kids have a golden opportunity. They have the whole entire summer off, and there's no events planned. So they kind of say, all right, see you next fall. And so we want to have some fun fishing events, not necessarily competing. We want to have some bait making classes to teach kids how to make their own baits.
Oh, no.
We're gonna dabble into social media. Um, we're gonna take the kids, break the teams up, and Hunter's gonna do some videos with them. We're gonna have kids maybe fishing on social media with somebody they typically don't fish with, which creates a bond. But it also shows each other techniques that the others don't know. But that was the main emphasis on why we wanted to create this club. So now let me tell you about the board. I think we've done a great job. I think Jen's going to make a perfect president. I couldn't be happier with that selection.
Put her center stage, right?
Yeah, center stage. Yeah, that's her down there in the corner, wearing that Lake and Bay hat. I think she's perfect. She gets along great with the kids. She's level-headed. She keeps her cool. As long as you don't get on the wrong side of her, you're doing okay. And let me tell you, a board member that's with her, and I'm not going to name him at this time, but he's a Highlands County Sheriff's officer.
Oh, nice.
We have a FWC officer from the Fish and Game Department in Florida. We have a local business owner that owns many businesses on the board, and we have somebody that's involved in agriculture and farming. And
Nice.
all of these people will help instill the love of the sport. And all of these people are what I consider very upstanding people in the community and well respected. And man, I tell you, I'm excited about this board. This board's really got me excited.
Yeah.
Jen, you can work well with these people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they not having kids of their own fishing within the organization. I think they can bring a lot to the table as far as they care about the community as a whole,
Right.
which means, making sure that the kids within their community are, just doing things that benefit everyone, and especially just the community service and seeing how these kids are being raised up to enjoy the outdoors and enjoy and respect the environment, that we're in. And
Yeah.
I think, having someone who's been heavily involved in agriculture her whole life, basically, that's something that's going to be important to her, as well as just being, someone else who's a local business owner and, again, has no kids of his own within the organization. But it's important to him to see that the kids in his community are being raised, enjoying the environment that we have and taking care of it, respecting it.
Yeah, and I think that just hearing like who y'all have on the board, and it's going to be an unbiased opinion of what it's going to be, is going to help out tremendous, because that's the last thing you want as somebody to be on the board. Be like, well, their child here, they're doing this to benefit their child, whatever, and so you kind of knock that out, and it's going to be an even playing field, because which we tell everybody, like, fishing has got to be the most level playing field of any kind of sports that is out there, because the fish doesn't care if you're 3 years old or you're 80 years old, or they don't care if you're male or female. They do not care. You put a bait in front of their face and make them, they're going to eat it. So I really do. I think the way that y'all approached that was very well thought out, and to where you're going to have that unbiased. It's going to be, this is the reason why we done it, and this is it. And you're not going to have any kind of confrontation elsewhere because of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say three of the, the four members that I've known for many years, it was, I would say they're people who at probably more than one time in my life have definitely been able to look at me and say, no, you're wrong. And that's important. I think that, I don't want people who are just going to agree with me or agree with, what Gerry wants to do. I want someone who can have some back and forth discussions and look at something in a different way. And when they don't have, I guess, skin in the game, so to speak, I think that does make a difference.
Yeah. So, um, how did like the agriculture person, how did that, because that, to me, that's interesting to have somebody that's in that agriculture world to be part of the board. What was the thinking on to have that person on the board?
Honestly, it had nothing to do with the agriculture piece, but she is just someone who I've known for many years, and she's always been able to just have very respectful conversation. And I don't want to say debate, but inquire on other people's point of view if it differs from hers. And she just can always have, good conversation with people, and the agree to disagree type of person. And I just felt like that personality, I guess you'd say, would be very fitting. And she is also, her kids are now grown, but she has went through the, being a parent of children in sports and all sorts of activities and things. So she, she's been a part of activities like that throughout her own children's lives. So that, and it just so happens that she's in the agriculture industry. So that was kind of the second part of it, but it wasn't really the first part that drew me to inviting her in.
Right.
So is this just something that's going to happen in Florida, or are y'all looking to expand out? Or
we're going to take this one step at a time, and we're, as you know, I mean, I got Hunter sitting next to me. Hunter's fishing in like 3 or 4 other states, and we're going to discuss that, and I guess in the second part of this. But we want to do this with these kids too, because what's happening in Florida right now, and I think Colin can attest to this, is that these kids learned how to fish vegetation really well, but they don't learn ledges and wood and rock and docks and bluffs, and when they leave the state to go to a regional or a championship, they don't fare so well because they're not used to that. We're hoping to expand these kids out, and maybe someday the club will get to where it has other clubs in other states. But we're going to start with this one. We go to a set of stairs and we go one step at a time. We're not going from the top to the bottom, because man, usually the quickest way is to fall down the stairs. I'm not doing that.
That's true.
Now let me explain something really unique to you. Our whole goal is, we mentioned Jax. That's Jen's son, and he's coming off a really good year. I was privileged to be able to work with him for the last 3 years, and man, he's like a sponge. He takes all this information. And I was in a boat with him Friday night, and I told him, put down what you're throwing and throw this. And man, a big one whacked it instantly as soon as he threw that very first cast. This whole program is, and Jackson's partner is Eli. These 3 kids have their own bass boats. They do. Each one of them has their own bass boats. You're talking bass boats. Some of them have $30,000 of electronics on them. These are top of the line. These aren't bass trackers. These aren't 20-year-old boats. These are nice boats. But this organization will be turned over to these 3. That's our goal. Our goal is to have these 3 guys running this whole show, and free of charge. It's not going to ever get sold to them. It's going to be free of charge, and that's the goal we're going at. Now, going back to why we had an agricultural person in there, I think that's great because it brings in a whole different aspect, and there'll be no Kool-Aid drinking in this club. I mean, nobody has to drink the Kool-Aid a certain way, and I feel 100% certain, I'll tell you 1,000% certain, that any of these individuals, if they feel they're opposed to something, they're going to raise their hand and go, hey, you know what? I'm opposed. And I think that's the way, because, we just went through some stuff that we won't discuss, but somebody trying to enforce rules in a gray area that didn't exist. There is no gray. It's all black and white. If it's in writing, it's illegal. If it's not there, then you can't make something of it. So, but I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's why, we have a lot of enthusiasm to go into this, because we know we're going to be leaving something on earth that, like footsteps behind. It's going to be this organization, and these guys are going to take it. And man, I'm going to be proud that day comes and these boys take this over.
Yeah. Now, Hunter, what is your mindset and thinking of that, knowing that whenever that time comes, what is your mindset on it, and how are you getting ready? Because I mean, that's a big ordeal to take part and to take over something. I mean, because this has the potential of being huge, and to be to where you could have some kind of tournament series or whatever for the youth anglers. So what is your thinking on with everything that's going on with this?
Well, can you say that again real quick?
Yeah. What is your mindset on with having let's just do it like this. Like, what is your mindset with having like this? How is this going to help you with having another little youth deal? Is it going to benefit you to be able to wear? I mean, because you're competing and stuff like that, and doing all this other stuff and teaching. Is it going to benefit you? Do you think that to have more time on the water competing?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's a benefit because it allows you to gain more knowledge and it makes you know more kids in the community. So yeah, I just think it's good about taking over this and having a lot of kids joining this and fishing.
Besides that, you got a good teacher.
That you do. So how do the kids get involved in this? How can do they need to reach out to y'all, or is there a website or Facebook or something like that to where they can sign up for this?
Yeah, right now they can go on my Facebook and say, hey, we want in, and Jen's available. Everybody knows who Jax is, and people I'm sure are watching that are from both sides of the fence. Some that want to come, some that aren't going to come, and we don't want to take members away from the other club in the area. We've not solicited anybody. We've had people approach us and say, hey, we heard a rumor, and we didn't confirm that rumor because we were trying to wait till this time. We were letting them finish their year. So we don't want a whole lot of kids to start because we want these kids to excel at what they're doing. And when I go through what we're going to do with these kids, you're going to understand because they're going to have a plate full. This is not like any other club that you've ever heard of. When I get done with what I'm going to explain to you, you're going to go, wow. And Hunter told me, and maybe it's because he's on the podcast, he's a little shy about saying it, but he really likes showing kids things that he learned that's little secrets and helps them out. And I think that's what he's looking forward to the most, especially making baits, because a lot of you know that he's with Spike It, and we'll talk about that later. But he makes his own baits for tournaments, and he's got me getting extra microwaves so you can give a class on making baits. It's like Betty Crocker's going to have a class or something. They're going to be cooking classes.
That is awesome. And so are you going to you were talking about having little places time to where that you're going to demonstrate making baits and stuff like that.
Before I guess we get into all that, let me first shoot out our goals, what our goals are for these kids, and then we'll get into what the activities are going to be and how we're going to achieve those. So some of our goals is mainly to instill the love of the sport to the kids and let them enjoy it. Proper handling and care of all your fish. Hunter's boat, my boat, and soon to be Jax's boat, we all run the fish lung in there to keep our fish alive, which is a whole new aeration system that's very expensive, but it works. We want to teach them new baits, techniques, casting, knot tying, what baits to use, and when and where to use those baits. That's a thing we want to go over. We want to teach the kids new lakes, educate them on catching smallmouth and spots, which is a whole world of difference than catching largemouth out of grass. And learn some of the northern lakes. We want to teach the kid that every event they fish is different from one to the next, and that they need to read the rules at each event so that they understand it, because no two organizations are going to have the same one. And some people are under the belief that, well, a set of rules is a set of rules and it holds at every tournament. Man, I'll tell you what, show up with a net in your boat at the BASS event, you're going home early because you just got DQ'd. Throw an A-rig in a tournament doesn't allow A-rigs, you're going home. Do some long lining in a tournament doesn't allow long lining, you're going home. So what we want to teach the kids that never take a tournament for granted, always read the rules at every one. We're going to educate them on that. The biggest point that we're going to drive across is that this club, they have a very loud voice, and on what takes place, what they want. They need to have fun, learn along the way, and work as a team for the Bass Nation tournaments. And that's going to be a real key thing. Let me tell you that there's a lot of doors opening, and I can't give them all up tonight, but I'm going to give you one. A company called CNN Custom Baits out of Kentucky. Okay? They're going to sponsor some of the kids, and it may end up being all the kids. But here's what they're challenging for the kids. Once we have all the teams set up, they want each team to come up with a brand new color of a Cinco, and they need to submit it to him. He's going to build the baits for them. They're going to get their own baits back without anybody else seeing them. They have to go out and shoot a content video on it. And if he likes their content and he likes the color, he's going to put it on his website, and the kids get to name the color.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's one example of how somebody's going to work with them. So that's a key thing. What's going to set this thing apart from other clubs is we're going to be transparent, and our meetings are open to all members and their parents, and there'll be no closed-door meetings. You're more than welcome to come. Your voice is just as important as a second grader or a senior or a parent or a board member. That's going to be critical. We're going to have minutes, financial statements available at all meetings, so everything's transparent. You don't see that nowadays. And the board members in the future will be appointed within the guidelines of BASS on election process by all members, not appointed by certain people. They get to handpick who they want. And we're going through how many positions are going to change. And, as far as I can see it right now, we got 5 winners. I don't think anybody's going to lose an election out of these 5 we got, because they're top notch. Now, I will tell you that Jax, Eli, and Hunter are going to be a liaison between the anglers and the board. And we're going to, whenever we go to a vote on something, we're going to take very heavily, I'm hoping the board listens to this, very heavily what they have to say, because ultimately it's for these kids. It's not for the parents. It's not to pacify the parents. We're not running a babysitting community here. We're running a youth organization. I have a hard time even calling the kids fishing organization, because when you start hearing what we're going to do with the kids, you're going to go, what? You guys may try to lie about your age and put an application in. I'm not sure, but I'm just guessing.
Now, Gerry, when you say youth or kids, so what is the age range on this in this club?
We are going to do events that are going to range all the way from the first grade all the way to senior. When we get into the Bass Nation, I believe, Jen, do you know what grade they have to be in for Bass Nation?
I don't know. I feel like it's an age. I can't remember. 7 or 8, maybe.
Okay.
But when Jack started fishing, he was well beyond that, so I didn't have to, experience that for myself. So I'm not positive.
Exactly. Yeah. So really, I want to take them from the first grade on up. And man, I'm going to let too much out here. For kids that are just starting out, I've got free rods and reels. I got free tackle boxes. I got free tackle. I mean, these kids won't want for anything. And Jen will tell you, I've showed up at tournaments and was giving away ducket rods and $200 bait casters to kids that showed up with no equipment. And that's how I am. I mean, I don't want a kid to go out there and eat anything or borrow anything. I want them to have their own stuff. And dude, when you hear this, where we're going, it's going to blow your mind. I'm telling you, you're going to lie and try and get into this kids club.
Well, I mean,
if we can get him to shave that beard, he might be able to get in there.
I was about to say, do you allow a bearded 7-year-old?
So
I mean, Hunter's already taller than I am. So I mean,
there you go. What we're going to offer to help the kids get to their goals is social media is going to be a big part. We're going to open a YouTube channel that's going to be called Kids for Fishing, and their content's going to be able to be posted there for everybody to see. I've got editors that edit Roland stuff and my stuff and Hunter stuff that'll work with the kids and help them edit. He's willing to help out. We're going to go way deeper and further in than they've ever seen, because we're going to show them how to send stuff to their present sponsors, how to send a quick reel.
Important.
We're going to send a quick reel to a sponsor, potential sponsors that they're trying to attract, and we're going to teach them how to talk to the sponsors. Because a lot of people walk in and go, "Hey, what do you got for free?" I know how to fish. That's not the way you do things, man. That's not the way. So we're going to teach them that. So the YouTube's going to be really big. We're going to do Zoom calls probably once a month, or meetings in person with professional anglers like Roland, people like that, manufacturers, and the kids are going to be able to ask questions. Everybody's going to be on just like we're on right here, but it's going to be a Zoom thing. And they're going to learn new baits, new techniques, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be very, very educational for them. FWC has held off on 2 projects on 2 lakes in our area that we're not going to divulge what they are, but they've been waiting for our club to come up and running. And on one of them, the kids got to pick some locations for what they're doing on a body of water. And then they want the kids to be there and actually help them do these modifications to this lake. And like I said, I can't let the cat out of the bag yet, but so there's some projects. The kids have already been working on, like Hunter and Jax and Eli on stocking fish with FWC. They've already stocked bass, brim, and catfish, and working with the Highlands County Sheriff in their private pond. And they have a youth tournament that's private only for 5th graders once a year. So these guys have been out there stocking fish with FWC, and they know what it's all about. So that's really cool. We're also going to bring them to the hatchery where the F1 bass are raised, and they're going to explain what the F1 bass is. And, dude, I have adults nowadays say, "What is an F1 bass?" And I said, "Well, do you know what an F2 or F3 is?" They go, "No." I said, "We definitely don't know what F1 is." But anyway, F1 bass is a genetically created bass that grows like a football. Here in Florida, we've caught them 24 long and 24 tall around. Yeah, they're just like a football. It's incredible how they grow. So they're going to get to see how that's done. We're going to visit Lake and Bay boats so they can see how a boat is built. And they're going to see, they're going to see all that goes into building a boat. So that's going to help them. And then we're going to teach them how to maintain a boat, what waxes to use, and the proper maintenance on a boat. They're going to be doing that. They're going to be working with the Highlands County Sheriff's Office, doing the youth events that they run, which I think they have 3 events a year. We're getting ready to have a first of its kind. It's going to be in conjunction with Highlands County. We're working on this, but to bring disabled kids in wheelchairs out to a lake and help them fish.
Sweet.
So that's going to be a project we're working on. Community service stuff. We're going to clean up ramps. We have events planned with cookouts and family get-togethers. And do you want me to lay out the good stuff now?
I'm ready. Well, I do have. I want to say something. And it was funny that you said F1 because Pappy and I were talking. When we're in the truck talking back and forth and stuff like that, unloading Little Debbie's and stuff, we were talking that on Chickamauga, they're in the process of putting those F1s back into, or to put more into Chickamauga, to where the breeding on, to where we're going to start getting back to where Chickamauga was here 8 to 20 years ago. And so it's interesting to hear that you was talking about the F1s, because I mean, it does make a difference when you have the bigger fish in there, and the capabilities of them to make massive fish, and to be able to see, especially see the younger kids, to be able to catch this massive fish of what size it is, it's something that has some shoulders on it. It is phenomenal. So I'm ready.
You know, you hit on something. I'm going to go back to the F1. I'm going to give a little education here since we got a couple minutes. You said you started out by saying they're going to put F1s in, and you said they're going to put more in. You corrected yourself. No,
Right.
No, they're going to put F1s in because you no longer have F1s.
No,
That's why I said F2, F3. The very first spawn you have, the F1 spawns with one of your natural fish. You have an F2 that comes out. Then when it happens next year, it's an F3. And eventually you end up having no F1s at all because they die of old age and it's been bred out of them. So you are actually going to get in there and you are going to have some big bass again. It's going to start all over again. And I don't know if you guys remember, but remember in the 80s and 90s when all them huge bass were being caught in California? Mm-hmm. Those were all F1 bass that were stocked out there, and they allowed a lot of that to breed out. And that's why you don't hear about weekly these 18 and 20 pound bass, because they allowed that to come out. So, but that's a key thing in that F1 bass. And what a beast it is, though, man. When they can grow 24 long and 24 around, that's a football. And, man, it just looks like a freak of nature. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
One of the people on your comments, Natasha Haywood, is one of the owners of CNN Bait Company that's going to be allowing the kids to make their own Cinco colors.
Oh,
I don't know
nice.
if you see her on there or not.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, she's one of the owners. They're great people, and they bend over backwards for kids, but they're all for this kids club.
Yeah. And which, let's see. Then Gleason Fishing says, "Hey, Hunter and Gerry, question, Hunter, what is it like being shown all the ins and outs of tournament anglers? You have amazing teachers." We'll get into that here later, Gleason, because here in a little bit we're going to have just Gerry and Hunter on here, and so we'll come back to that one. So, but so what all do y'all have going on that these kids are going to be able to do?
Okay, there's some I'm not going to mention. I'll get to that at the end, but let me tell you what we do have. You're going to love this. We're going to have an obstacle course set up on the lake, and the kids are going to have to run the trolling motor through the obstacle course, including backing up. And when they get to a stop point, they're going to have to make a cast or a flip into a hula hoop before they're able to move again. And we're going to do this with every kid so that they learn how to use a trolling motor, learn how to get out of a tight spot. And it's just going to be a fun event. And then we'll probably do a little fishing and maybe go out and get some pizza for lunch or something. One of the pizza places said he'd work with us for free pizza. Yeah. So, but we're going to do that. That's one of the events. The bait making we already went over. A lot of the kids that we have already have the boater safety card, which in Florida, as soon as you have that, you can go out in a bass boat by yourself. Like Hunter can take his bass boat out on the lake, at the age of 13, which he's only 13. And so we're going to run one of those classes, and it's not just for our members. We're going to invite other kids that are within the community that maybe aren't in the club that need a boater safety class. And as long as they can bring a iPad or a laptop in, we'll have them go through the class. And again, that's helping the community out. Okay, here we go on the cool ones, man.
All right, I'm ready.
We're going to have archery classes. They're going to learn how to shoot bows and arrows.
What?
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna get in on that.
We're going to have paintball events. And I think some of them are going to be against the board members. So it'll be time for them to have some fun against the board members. Okay. Another thing we're going to have is we're going to have certified scuba classes. And the kids are going to take certified scuba classes together so that they can learn stuff under the water. And, they know of an awful lot of brush piles that have an awful lot of crankbaits, A-rigs, and glide baits in them. So the kids that go through the scuba class, they're going to be getting some top-notch tackle. We have other companies that are going to be donating baits that aren't on the market yet that they'll be able to try, and they got to keep them a secret. That's a big one for the kids. And then going to the Bass Nation tournaments, I'm going to actually sit with all the kids going to the Bass Nation with an old paper map, and I'm going to say, listen, in the past, this time of the year, these are the spots I caught fish. These are the lures. Even though my team will be competing against them, it's not we're against each other. We're a team going out there. If you have to, you can come fish next to us if that's what's going to take. We want everybody to succeed. We're not against everybody. So there's a lot more events. The other one we're going to do is we're going to teach the kids how to unload and load a boat by themselves, how to get in it, take it off the trailer, bring it over to the dock, tie it up, the proper knots, and then untie it, put it back on the boat trailer safely. Don't give it too much gas, give it enough to get up there. And we're going to teach that on the water too. And a lot of people don't take the time to do that. And being in Highlands County, and everybody says, how can you say this? Highlands County has over 200 lakes. And they go, there ain't no county in the world that has 200 lakes. I said, this one does. Well, let me tell you why it does. Because they don't name anything a pond. If you got a 5-acre body of water, they put a lake name on it. There's no ponds there. So we have 200 places. So we can find ramps that we're not going to bother anybody. But, man, we're just going to have a blast with these kids, man. I am looking so forward to working with these guys. And that's part of the reason why I don't want to sit on the board because, man, they're going to have a lot of paperwork to do. They're going to have a lot of things to figure. Yeah. And I can deal with the activities, and I can keep the kids entertained. And I've run summer camps for the kids before, and the people have loved them. And the kids have learned a lot, and that's what I'm good at. And that's kind of what I want to add to the club. Yeah. We have some other things. Let me just tell you, there's a lot more events that I can mention, but I'm not releasing them at this time. And you're all going to need to follow along and see these mountains we're going to climb because we're going to climb mountains to get there. And these kids are not going to know what the word failure means ever. We're going to make sure these kids are ready for everything they're going to face in life. And that's our job as parents, as adults and mentors. If we can teach these kids to get by any situation, more power to them, man. More power to them. They're the future of this sport.
Yeah. And I think that it's, to me, means a whole lot to know that these kids are going out and they're going to learn it the right way. You're going to teach them the process of because people really don't realize, especially when you have these guys that you'll see pull up to a boat ramp that's got the drive out tag on the truck. The boat doesn't even have registration numbers on it because they just picked it up from the marina and they got one of these massive Malibu boats or Mamba boats or whatever that they can't even put it into the water. And I know, I've gotten so many videos for my YouTube channel and stuff like that of people trying to back up a boat. And one of our ramps that we hit a lot of Harrison Bay, you could theoretically put 3 boats in at the same time. And
depending on who's backing it in,
right?
That's the thing.
But I've seen it to where one boat has taken up the whole ramp, and I've seen to where multiple people have dropped boats on the ramp, and so I do think that it is very important for them to to be able to get on the water is just as important of how they manage themselves on the water.
Hey, Colin, how do you really feel about that? I can tell you'd like to let loose, but we're on a podcast and you won't. Yeah, see, that's the difference between you and I. Hey, let me ask a quick question to Jen. Jen, do you have anything you want to add? Did I forget anything? I mean, it's possible I forgot some things.
No, I mean, I think, at this point, I think you said it all very well. There's a lot more to come in the future, but, for now, I think that's pretty good, gives a pretty good indication of what we're all about and what people can look forward to. And I, just to kind of tag on to what you had said a little earlier, we didn't form this club to take away from other local clubs in our, regional area. This is, I'm very grateful for, there's many wonderful clubs, that we've been a part of and that other people have been a part of, who've served us very well. It's just time for, there's just things, Gerry has things, reasons that are in some ways different from my own, as a parent as well. But it was just kind of time to put our heads together and come up with something different that doesn't exist. So it's not to take away from clubs that do exist. This is for people looking for something a little different. I think it's probably fair to say, just like every other sport out there, baseball, basketball, all these other sports, youth sports, they have different leagues and organizations that operate differently. And, not everything is a one size fits all. And we want to strive for being that, if we can, for people who are looking for something a little different, but definitely very grateful for the organization that we've been a part of, with my son for many years. It's just time for us to do something a little different, go a different direction, and accomplish things that we kind of see a need for my son, for Hunter, and for some of these other kids who, their parents have asked for something a little bit different, and a little bit more in certain areas. So pretty excited about it.
Have you guys already received interest in the club, or?
Yeah, we got a list put together. Jen's put a spreadsheet together, and we got them right across the board. We actually have junior anglers, high school anglers.
Nice.
And not only that, but I've started compiling a list of sponsors that want to step in. And, some of them had to tell them, unfortunately, we can't bring you in because we already have a sponsor lined up that's going to be bigger than you, and we've already committed to them. And, we don't like sponsors taking like 2 sunglass companies or 2 worm companies or 2 rod companies. We try and be right up front with them and go from there. And when the time comes for us to make these deals, the Eli, Jax, and Hunter are going to have a lot to say in that because they're the future of this organization. I see Eli's dad's on here, Daniel Klein. He wrote awesome stuff, Gerry and Jen. And thank you very much for that, Daniel. And Jen, you've done an unbelievable job with all the crib notes you've given me and all the, putting the board together and the rules that you've shown me. And man, I'll tell you what, Jen has really made my life easy to get this off the ground. And I'm super happy to have her part of the organization. And really, to be honest with you, she's the boss, and I'm going to sit on the other side of the table because I'm not on the board. I own fishing, Kids for Fishing, but she's the club. It's not me. I'm not a board member or anything. And congratulations to your family and the Klein family. Your kids had to be the hottest sticks on the water this year. I mean, just the sheer number of checks that they won. Man, I some of the things that I've taught them, I've seen them use. Some of the things that Richard's taught them, some of the things Mike showed them. Man, they just take everything in from all of us and they accumulate it, and they're doing awesome, man. I'm proud of them. Those kids have come a long ways. And then we got another guy, Sterling Gray. He's all for archery from a moving bass boat.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's what he wrote. So, yeah.
So we have a question. Mitch says, are y'all going to teach the kids proper boat maintenance?
Yes. I brought that up when we said we're going to be visiting Lake and Bay boats. We're going to bring up where the on the new 4-strokes, your maintenance schedule is right on the back of the motor under the cowling. People that own those motors don't even know it's back there. It tells you what to do at every interval. It tells you what needs to be changed. But Mike's going to go over that. And a lot of people don't know that Lake and Bay does maintenance on boats. They think they're just a manufacturer. They're a service place, a fiberglass repair shop. I mean, their metal flake work is like second to none. And so the kids are going to learn a lot being over there. So yes is the answer to your question. Not only that, but what waxes to use, and what if you want to do a ceramic coat, what's the proper ceramic coat and all that.
Right. Another question is, while you're out fishing with them, how important of teaching boat positioning are you going to have?
That's very critical, and Jackson Eli just went through that. They won the Angler of the Year this past weekend in the tournament. They finished second in the Tournament of Champions. And one of the things I asked, their big fish was 707, by the way. They had a good one. That was a big fish for both days. I asked them, when you pulled over to that airboat that's sunk in the lake, how far off did you stay? And he said, I did just what you told me. Spot lock about 75 yards or so away, he said, and then we snuck in a little bit. And he said we even killed all the electronics because they started to move away when they got the pulsing. So boat position is very critical. Electronics. I could talk on electronics. If you're using forward-facing sonar, you better put every other unit in your boat on standby. Otherwise, you're picking up interference from it. And I've got the best wiring system to see clear. I've got Active Target 2. I got LVS 34. I got 4 12-inch units in there. And, man, they all will jam with each other if you don't put them in standby. Yeah, boat positioning, boat handling. I actually went fishing with Jen's son, Jackson. We were driving in a boat that probably goes like 87 miles an hour. And he asked me, you going to drive? I said, no, you are. I got in the passenger seat. And, man, he was a chauffeur, and I had all the respect for him that day, man. He did a great job.
Sterling says maybe we can do a rod building class for the kids. Let me know. We can talk about it sometime.
Absolutely. Actually, he can be one of the guys that comes in on the Zoom meeting one month. We'll bring him in, and maybe he can show the kids how easy it is to build a rod and tell them the difference between a custom rod and one you buy over the counter. I'd be more than happy. He knows how to get my phone number. He can get in touch with me, and we'd love all the input we could get from him.
Yeah. So, maybe we can, the podcast Deck Talk can do something as well. Maybe during an event, we can do like a live or something like that as well, and film and get some drones up in the air and do some other stuff. So
absolutely. And I'm working right now on having our weigh-ins be broadcast live on the internet. So, we're gonna make a lot of changes to what we've seen. Jen and I have talked about having a big screen TV there facing the crowd, so that when the kids weigh in, the weights go on there. And instead of having them hidden, the kids go, where am I? What place am I in? Everything will be right on the big screen TV. We're going to try and make this as easy as possible for the kids and as professional as we can. And it's going to take some money, but we're going to get there.
Yeah. So,
do you have any more questions? Just be careful of the ones from Sterling Gray, because he's the guy that wanted to shoot the archery out of the boat. Move
I was going to say, I would love to see what kind of rod he builds.
He builds good ones. Oh, man. They're not cheap, and they're really good. But, if you set the hook on a rock, you got to be careful, though, because we were with a guy that had one of his, and he set it real hard on a rock, and, man, that thing blew apart. But he put so much pressure on it, you could have a stainless steel rod, it would have come apart.
Yeah.
Hunter maybe just whispered something about he's okay with shooting out of a moving bass boat as long as Sterling puts an apple on his head. So,
So,
you have
hey,
any more
Hunter,
questions?
make sure you put that on your YouTube, though.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you have any more questions?
That's all that I see right now. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I have Hunter's YouTube already in the description. When we get done, I'm going to put all of Gerry's social media stuff uh, in the description as well. Jen, is there something that we can even do the Lake and Bay. Gerry, if you'll send me the link for that, I'll put it in the description after we get done here.
Perfect.
And so
Definitely.
we want to make sure we get everything out to where people can find out as much. And Deck Talk is going to follow this, even though we're in Tennessee. And we're going to follow this pretty heavily because I think this is probably one of the best things that I've seen for youth, because it's just not about going out there and fishing. It's going out there and learning the proper way of doing things, and being able to learn. You're being taught by one of the best teachers that I have seen. He's a mentor to me, and so take full advantage of what these kids have, and I can't wait to see what this is going to turn out to, especially when it turns hands into Jack's and Hunter's and Eli's hands, because I can only imagine how big this is actually going to get.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
Exactly.
So,
we went in this head over heels, man. We didn't go in this just a little bit. We're not testing the water. We're going to take the water on, and we're gonna make this as big as we can, and it's all for the kids, man. And that's the key thing. And I'm gonna say this one more time for all the board members that are watching. When you go to vote on something, those 3 kids come to you with their questions or their concerns. You all need to listen to them because this is for the kids at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's what it's for.
So, I think that's all. Sterling's asking if Hunter will be on Chick in October. We're going to get to that here in a little bit, Sterling. CNN Custom Baits says, does Hunter need any water? Daniel says, Mike has done amazing. So other than that, y'all have anything else? And if not, we will kick Jen to the curb and
whoa. We can't let her off that easy. Hold on.
I'm not going to let her off. She's got to at least answer one more question. So.
Right, but before she gets there, hang on. Before she gets there, Jen, is there anything else you want to add? And by the way, Jen, you did a great job tonight.
You did.
Don't ever be nervous about a podcast.
Appreciate it.
Is there anything you want to add?
Really, there's nothing I can, think of at this time. I know we're still kind of in the initial phases of being able to roll this out to people, as far as having the official rules and documentation and signups and whatnot. So, I think right now that says it all for what we have at the moment, but definitely more to come,
Awesome.
More details
Awesome.
for sure.
Okay, Colin, I'm going to make a request from you while Jen's still with us. I'm going to say that we need to come on your podcast with a follow-up, maybe like 6-8 months from now. But here's the catch. Here's the catch. It's going to be Hunter, Eli, and Jax. They're going to come on and tell you what they think of the organization.
We can do it. Well, we'll go as soon as we get off here. We will put it on the calendar.
Okay, cool. All right, let's give Jen that question, then she can get out of here because she's dying to go. Look at that smile. She's leaving.
So, Jen, if you could fish with one person, past or present, who would it be and why?
That's a very easy question for me. It's someone I have fished with before, but I would say the late Rob Wells Jr. From Pine Island, Boca Grande area. passed away about a year ago, but definitely he was an amazing snook fisherman, and snook is my favorite thing to fish for. Sorry. I prefer that over bass. Just gonna throw that out there. But
It is fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
you know, I learned a lot from him over the years, being on a boat with him. Definitely not afraid to give the corrective criticism. That's for sure. Got to have thick skin. But he was always someone who was willing to teach, and I would love to have one more day on the boat with him.
I hear you. Well, Jen, thank you so much for coming on. And I guess we're going to give you the boot now and tell you to get out of here.
Good job.
Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. You've done a great job.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, so Sterling Gray, you asked a question. Hunter will be at Chick. He'll fly in on Friday night. He'll fly out on Sunday night to get back to school. And then from there, at the end of October, he will be at Lake Douglas fishing the championship. He'll arrive on Trick or Treat and leave on the 2nd of November to head back to Florida so he can get to school.
Yeah. So, all right, Hunter. You've been
You're up,
here
buddy.
before. And I'm glad to have you back. And every time I see you, you just keep on growing like a weed. And I can't believe how tall you've actually that you are.
Yeah.
Because I can remember 4 or 5 years ago seeing you at ICAST and stuff like that. And so, but thank you for coming back on. And so, Hunter, we got some of these questions that people have asked here, but I want to ask you a question because, and which Gerry already kind of hit with your travel situation of having to leave at a certain day and then come back to be able to get back to school. How are you able to have to like keep your head in the books and be at school and stuff like that, and then to still do all this traveling that you're doing and still perform at the top of how you're performing at the top of the line of what you're doing?
So it's short, yeah. Like when we go up there when there's let's see, 4 days of school are gone or something like that, like a week. So whenever it's school is out, say 2 days or no school, we just have time to go up there and fish and fun fish and fish tournaments somewhere else in Florida.
Well, no, I think he's asking about the Bill Dance. When you have to fly in on Friday night, you only get to fish the tournament Saturday, Sunday, and then you get to get right back on the airplane. He's asking about those events.
Oh.
How are you able to juggle the school and the flight, run from school right to the airport, get on a plane, land there, all your stuff's ready because somebody has to tie all his baits and everything on, rod's ready, and then you get right back on an airplane, you fly back. Like the last one, you landed here in Florida at 12:32 a.m. and at 8 a.m. next morning you were back in school. He wants to know is that weighing on you? You have an easy time doing that? That's what he wants to know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we just get up there and fish. We have a strict time limit. Mm-hmm. So we fish 2 days, Saturday, Sunday tournament, the Bill Dance. So we would fish Saturday, get done with that, and Sunday, because if I have school Monday, most Bill Dance ones, usually fish a tournament, and then when we get done, we immediately have to get ready to go to the airport. So if we have a cabin or a hotel or something, we go back there like unhook the boat and stuff like that. Like get ready. And we just like
Get to the airport.
Get to the airport with everything, and like.
And how was your Monday at school? That's what he wants to know.
How was
Right.
my?
Yeah, you dragging butt. You okay?
Yeah, I was okay. I got enough sleep. Monday.
Do you get any work done on Friday, or all you thinking about is fishing Saturday?
Fishing Saturday.
Don't let my wife hear that.
That's just the prize of being young, right there.
Yeah,
Exactly. He's doing really, really well though. Surprisingly, I mean, his last one didn't go so good. The first flight got delayed. They thought he could make a second flight. He didn't. So they gave him a second flight to get in. That one got delayed too. And man, it's been a mess in the airports, but we've gotten through it. And you can tell them you've cashed a check at every event.
Yeah.
And which one scared you? Lake Douglas. How come?
Because I only got like one.
No, it was Dale Hollow.
Yep.
Dale Hollow's the one that scared you.
We only got like one check.
Yeah, one check.
Just
one
check.
The first day he was tired, man. He dragged butt and he didn't catch a keeper. And when he got to Douglas, we made sure we put him to bed early, and he cashed 4 checks the first day. And how many did you get the second day? Was it 2?
I think, yeah, like 1 or 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. But he's been doing really, really good. But you really need to be careful with the kids because you don't want it to dig into the schoolwork. And I told him if the grades started going down, we'd have to stop. And they didn't. He's kept his A's, B's mostly. And I mean, I don't know if I could do it. I do all the windshield time driving the boat back and forth and everything. And it's a lot of work, but he's really enjoying it. And there's not too many 13-year-olds that get to do what he's doing.
No, that is definitely true.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience, Hunter, that you're getting with doing this is going to put you leaps and bounds above any other angler, especially that's at your age.
Yeah.
Because not just that you're learning how, like down in Florida, you're fishing grass and structure and stuff like that, and then coming up and doing the Bill Dance stuff and fishing on current bodies of water, and then fishing on Dale Hollow with being Highland Reservoir. You're getting a wide experience of being able to do a lot of stuff at a young age that a lot of people do not even get the opportunity to.
Yeah, and I also have like fun like catching smallmouth and spotted bells because like they fight pretty good too.
So what is your favorite fish to catch?
Ooh.
Probably a fish sandwich at McDonald's. No, go ahead and answer him.
I think like smallmouth because I noticed they fought like a lot harder when I was fishing, like catching them. They fought like way harder. It was fun.
Yeah, because I think the last time that you were on, we asked you that, and you had just you didn't want to talk too terribly much about it because the video was not out yet. But you came up to Georgia, North Georgia, and was it Blue Ridge area? I think that's what it was. And you were catching those the stripers.
Oh, Hiawassee.
The Hiawassee, okay.
That's where we were at. Yeah, stripers. Yeah.
Yeah, striper. Yeah, they're big.
So, what has been the biggest thing that you've learned from being able to go and travel? It doesn't have to really be about fishing. It could be like time management and stuff like that you're having to figure out because you're having to learn all this at a young age that most kids your age could not handle.
Ask that one more time.
What is the biggest thing that you've learned with doing all these tournaments and like the Bill Dance?
The biggest thing I learned is like, what is it? The like keeping my mind into fishing. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, staying focused. I mean, yeah, I could see that, especially with you juggling, traveling, fishing, and school, all three. I mean, you know, I'm sure it's a great transition too to go from leaving school to the airport, worrying about the traveling part of it, and then getting to your destination, and then fishing the tournament, and then then turn right around and getting back on the plane to go home to go back to school.
yeah.
Your focus has to you really have to be locked in, and that says a lot about you at the age you're at. It's pretty impressive.
And what is like the kids even the teachers and stuff at your school think to where you're Friday until whenever the bell rings for you to go, you're Monday through Friday you're at school, and then right after school you're hopping on a plane and you could be going wherever up here to Tennessee, and I know that you've got Kentucky Lake coming up, and then also you have Chickamauga, and what do you have after that? I think was it Douglas that you have after that?
Yeah, Douglas for the championship. Yep.
Yep. And so, what is the kids? I mean, because most people are just on the weekends they're going home and grilling hamburgers and
Getting
hanging
on
out,
Xbox,
right?
PlayStations,
and you're being able to travel, and they're like, well, I've done such and such, and you're like, well,
he's over here cashing checks, making it rain.
I went to Tennessee, and I cashed 5 checks.
Yeah.
So, do the kids know that you travel this much, or do they not?
But they don't, because they don't ask me a lot of questions of fishing. But if I did about like all this traveling, I would think they'd probably say like, "Wow," because there's like a lot to do right after school to go traveling and then come right after school.
Right.
The biggest thing with taking a 13-year-old to do this, to be honest with you, is and people probably never even thought about this, is I figured it was for the 6 events, it was going to be about $35,000, and it's actually going to come out to a little more than that. With the airfare, with the Airbnbs, the fuel, the entry fees, the food, the tackle. It's like fishing a circuit for an adult to do this. And trust me when I say this, it's probably the best money that I've invested, because when he gets back to Florida, he really tears the fish up, because man, it just he's got a like renewed sense of wanting to get out there and just start setting the hook hard on them. And the smallmouth really excite him. So and you said what's the biggest thing you learned? I guess he wasn't being totally honest, because he told me that it don't matter if we're in Kentucky, Alabama, Tennessee, or Florida. He said a lot of the girls are good looking. Yeah. So, he's at that age. So
yeah. So
don't get distracted, Hunter.
Yeah.
Keep your mindset now.
That's it. That's what I keep telling him. Same thing you just said.
Yep.
That time will come.
Yep. Don't rush it.
Gleason Fishing had wrote earlier saying, Hunter, what would be your takeaway from your first year actually fishing a trail, and what you expected or more? I guess it was saying, was it what you expected?
So does this mean like, what was it like?
Yeah, and did it meet your expectations, or did it surpass it, or?
Well, for being like my first trial, I was a little nervous, right? So like when I got out there, it surpassed some of my expectations. I thought it was gonna be like
a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot easier, and it was hard because some fish don't like bite right away. You always have to like cast at the right spot, at the right time, or like right in front of them. So
Right.
yeah, it surpassed some of my expectations of
Good.
fish
Now,
trial.
what has been your favorite lake that you've been able to fish?
You talking about on the Bill Dance Lakes, or you talking about
Yes.
county Florida too?
Outside of Florida.
Let's do outside of Florida because I know y'all probably hit every single lake in Florida by now. But what has been your favorite lake with the Bill Dance?
I did Chickamauga because that's where I got my personal best at.
That's easy. That's
Yeah,
easy to say when you do that.
The 909 he caught there. That's why it's his favorite lake.
I mean, it'd be my favorite lake too if I caught that.
Yeah.
So Sterling Gray says, Hunter, what is your confidence bait?
Ooh, that's going to be tough because you throw 3 of them pretty consistently.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Freeloader probably, I'll bet.
Yeah, I like the freeloaders.
It'd be a Sakamoto shad, the freeloader, or the one he pours himself. They're all forward-facing minnows, but we don't always use it forward-facing. But that's probably his go-to bait and his confidence bait the most, I would say, by watching him. I think his favorite bait is probably topwater because of the explosions, right?
Yeah,
like everybody. Yeah,
especially in a smallmouth, they just explode on it.
So, what is your favorite topwater bait?
Oh yeah, I know that.
You like a whopper plopper?
yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
John Pate says, "Hello, Hunter. Now that you've been traveling around and fishing, what have you noticed in the business that is going to help you the most?"
Wow, that's a loaded question. That'd be tough for me to answer.
They like sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Sponsors have stepped up a lot.
Yeah. And since we're talking about sponsors, I cannot have you on and not talk about, because we had Gerry on, a month ago, and we had, oh shoot, I just drew.
Will Wiles.
Will Wiles, yeah. Had him on with Spike It, and they broke some news on the podcast and about you with Spike It, lures. I forgot what I done with the paper. What did that say?
It was Spike It, Glowworks, and Sonic Coat.
Sonic Coat.
Yeah.
Yep. All 3 of those.
And I apologize for that, for kind of that delay. I had a brain fart. But what do you want to talk about? Like, kind of, what was it with Spike It and Lure Works and Sonic Coat? What happened with them and you?
The contracts that they gave me.
We're not supposed to talk about that. Remember what he said? He said he had to cut Roland Martin's pay in order to pay Hunter. Will said that. Hey, listen, we're laughing, right? But man, how many 13-year-olds do you know get paid weekly to bass fish by a company like Spike It Low Works?
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's awesome. It is awesome.
When I knew that Hunter could fish. I knew that he was a hammer, and I've known this for 4 or 5 years, as long as I've known them, I've known that he was a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And it really solidified when he came up to Chickamauga last year, and that first day, first hour, and which we'll get Hunter to talking more about that. And he was able to catch his 909 in the first hour and waded in, and that lasted in that whole tournament. Lasted the big fish for his age group. But when Will came on and he told us that they were going to sponsor him and he's going to be a paid and have a contract and stuff through them, I was so stoked for you, brother. I was so happy because I know the work that you put in, and just the knowledge that you're picking up has just been phenomenal, that you're able to use that. So very much congratulations on that from us, and because that is a huge deal, because I know a lot of people now that are our age that would love to even have Spike it as a sponsor, and you have it as a 13-year-old. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, by the way.
You're welcome. Can you tell us, on Lake Chickamauga last year, day one, y'all set off. Can you talk us through that fish catch of that 909?
Wait a minute. Before you get started on that, I just want to say I've been fishing Chickamauga. I'm 49 years old. I've been fishing Chickamauga my whole life. And I have never caught a 909. And for you to do it
at 12.
At 12, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly is. But go ahead and take us through your day there.
So it was a spot that my grandpa Gerry lost his big one. It was a spot where he lost his huge. It was huge.
Well over 12 pounds in the FLW tournament. My co-angler missed it with the net. I told Hunter that's where we're starting.
Then when I cast it out, the bait dropped, right? And I was like ticking it a little bit, or like reeling it slow. Then all of a sudden I feel like just one tick, and then wait a little bit. Then once I set that hook, I knew it was a big one. It was pulling, and it jumped too. I saw it jump. The mouth was like huge. And I saw
what was you throwing?
What was it? The
Gambler Giggy Head.
Yeah, Gambler Giggy Head.
And tell them the worm you're using.
I was using black Cinco.
No,
black
Magnum
Trickworm. Yeah.
Hey, listen. When he set the hook in that fish, I then realized that he's been around Will and Martin way too much. He looked at me. He said, "Son, you better get the net. This is a big one." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." Then it came out of the water. I go, "Man, you ain't lying."
So he didn't have to. So what you're saying, Gerry, is he didn't have to say, do the old rolling as it gets closer to the boat. You actually see when he first hooks it. Oh, it's an 8. It's an 8. And then as it gets to the boat, you hear him say, "Well, it's a 6 or 7."
Yeah. I always say that Roland's fish go through this growth spurt where he'll show it to you in the boat and tell you it's an 8, and then later on in the TV show, because I film shows them all the time, he'll tell you, "Well, you remember that 9 I caught like 2 hours ago? They grew a pound in 2 hours." But
I need to know what that fish is eating if that's the case.
So that's where the true meaning of fish stories or fish tales come in, ain't it?
Yeah, I always wondered if Roland had in his elbow or something, had a little digital scale or something. But he was always off, man. It needed to be calibrated. But you know what was cool? You know what was really cool about that 909 is that right away from the stage, they took him in an open area under a little tiki hut looking thing, and gave him a polygraph test for 35 minutes, and they did it in the open so I could watch him being a minor. And so he's already got to take polygraph tests, and
Nice.
and got to experience that, which is good. And man, I'm all for polygraph tests in tournaments. I really am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you fished Kentucky Lake before, Hunter?
Once.
Only once.
So, are you looking forward to that? I know it's going to be more of a smallmouth bite on Kentucky Lake than a largemouth. The largemouth are starting to come back from what I'm hearing. The Asian carp has really did a number on the largemouth. But are you looking forward to going and catching some smallmouth?
Yeah.
Or are you rather just, let's get this one over with, let's get the Chickamauga, and let's do this again?
I look forward to catching a smallmouth, but I kind of like the other Chickamauga.
Yeah.
He's been waiting all year to get the Chickamauga. Who are you kidding?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I bet he's been dreaming about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how is it for being somebody that's from Florida to be able to come up and to fish like the Bill Dance stuff, and for you to be able to cash checks, because it's different bodies of water from what you're used to down in Florida. So how are you able to make that transition to where each time that you're going out, you're cashing a check?
It's like all the pre-fishing I do and tell you what it's like before the turn.
You mean pre-fishing I do?
Yeah, pre-fishing you do. It tells me.
Yeah, he gets filled when I pick him up at the airport. Usually we're like an hour, 2 hours from where we're staying. So I fill him in. I'm like, hey man, they're hanging at this depth. This is what we're gonna do, and and I'm real sportive. I pay attention. The last tournament he had a fish on, and ended up cashing a check with this fish. He had to scream 3 times to get the net because I was sleeping behind the steering wheel. Yeah, I'd fallen asleep because all the pre-fishing days. So, but I give him the rundown on it, and I that morning I show him exactly where we're going to go, and what they're on, and man, he just adapts to it really, really well, man. It's surprising, and I really thought the obstacle for him was going to be catching the spots in the smallmouth, but it's not, man. And he, if you remember way back, I took him up into New Hampshire for like 2 weeks to go smallmouth fishing, and we absolutely tore him up. We were catching 60, 80 fish a day. So I think that helped him on going to these other lakes. Yeah. I really do. And I feel bad that some of the kids that are going to be in our new club, they've never even caught a smallmouth in their life. And I'm hoping that we can plan a trip and let these kids really experience stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's unbelievable. And like I know, all these lakes that the Bill Dance Giant Bass Open's using are going to be the same lakes if he decides to fish PASS or Major League Fishing. So he's already getting years of experience on these bodies of water, and whenever we have downtime, we swing by Alabama and we stop and fish there sometimes and shoot some videos on our way back.
Yeah. So, what was it? Oh, your YouTube channel. Can you tell us, Hunter, what is your YouTube channel?
It is Hunter B Outdoors.
Hunter B Outdoors. The link is in the description. I've already got that because I knew that it was out. I've been watching some of these videos. The videos that you have done on there are phenomenal. I really do enjoy like the video that you've done with the spike it with the blades.
Mm-hmm.
that stuff is phenomenal with how easy that you can just dip the blades in and how bright they stay and how long that dye will stay on that blade. And then when you're done with it, you just take that
neutralizer. Right?
Say it louder.
Neutralizer.
The neutralizer, right? And it just wipes straight off.
Yeah.
That stuff is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
So I also I'm interested in watching to see as your channel grows, and I really like the bait making stuff. The video that you done with the shiner fishing, you really put a smackdown on them, and that was to me, I got so happy and stuff, and just seeing, I could just imagine just seeing them, that because you had a little bobber, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
And so I can just imagine if it was me, as soon as that bobber goes up under, I'm going to want to hook set, and you could tell like how you was like just reeling it down, letting it take up, and then you really was not hook setting it that hard. It was more or less you just tighten it up. Am I correct when you were doing that?
Yeah.
So, what has been your favorite fishing experience that you've had? It don't have to be in the past year, that it could be in your lifetime. What has been your favorite fishing trip?
Yeah, smallmouth fishing in New Hampshire.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Because of the numbers, because of the numbers, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your biggest smallmouth that you have caught?
5'1".
I've gotten one 5-pounder that it was 5 right on the nose.
Wow.
And so and to me, was that up in New Hampshire, or was that on Dale Hollow?
Yeah, New Hampshire.
So is New Hampshire, was it a current driven lake, or is that like a Highland reservoir?
Yeah, the Highland Reservoir.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what was amazing? Yeah, there is a video out there that exists under my name of Hunter out there. At one point, I say to Hunter, look at the depth finder. We're at 183 feet of water. But in 80 feet, you could, if you put a Mountain Dew can on the bottom, you could look down and go, hey, look at the Mountain Dew can. So,
really?
So we get off the water, and the guys go, hey, how'd you boys do? We see you from Florida. We said, oh, we did really well. We had like 65 fish today. And they go, we're using like 6 and 8 pound test line. And I looked at him and laughed. He goes, what are you laughing for? I said, you ain't going to believe me. I said, go look at all them rods. We use a 65-pound braid. He goes, what? He goes, they won't bite your bait. They see the line. I said, hey, let me ask you a question. Have you ever used an Alabama rig? He goes, yeah. I said, you going to tell me they don't see a stainless steel wire in front of that bait? You worried about braid? I said, all they're doing is looking at a bait, buddy. They're not looking at what's in front of it. And we, honest to God, I swear to you, we use 65-pound braid up there in that visibility of like 90, 100 feet of water. And we use a 65 braid, and it didn't matter. They still bit.
Yeah.
So
is there something for your YouTube channel that you're wanting to accomplish, as in like a fishing goal, like maybe a place that you want to go fish, or maybe a type of fish that you're trying to go after? Do you have a goal for your YouTube channel?
I say, yeah, like, my goal is to like put like fishing videos of like other places, like some in Florida, like maybe one in Texas. Like one of my goals is to fish in Texas and make a video about one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, now I would love to go fish in Texas myself.
Yeah, no kidding.
I would love to. I'd love to. Bucket list lake is Lake Fork and Sam Rayburn. I think that would be one heck of a bucket list. But I've known people that's gone out there and has zeroed, and so, but that would be discouraging. But I did learn something on Lake Fork from a good buddy of mine. His name is Gene Jensen with Fluke Master. I talked to him at the Classic, and he came in fifth in the kayak division of the Classic. And so he was taking an 8-inch glide bait, and he put weights on the hooks of the glide baits. And so in the stumps that were up, that's in Lake Fork, he was bringing that glide bait and just letting it just sit over those stumps. And then he was just barely getting it off of those stumps. And as soon as that would come off, they were just, whoop. And so that is something that, especially even here on Chick, that I think that I could utilize. I never thought about weighting the hooks down though. And he said that it helped keep it, the glide bait straighter up and down when it was moving.
Oh,
So I would love to try that.
See, we've always been told to use the strips and put them just in front of the first joint of the glide bait
Right?
on the belly. Don't put them on the back, and it'll allow the bait to still stay, like you're saying, horizontal.
Right.
And so that's what we've done. But I've never seen anybody put it on the hook. I'd be interested in seeing that myself.
Yeah, I hadn't. He's got a video. Last time I talked to him, he was finishing it up. So it may be up on Fluke Masters on YouTube. So
we'll look that up, because that's interesting. We're always open to new things, and that's why we like staying in touch with you, because we get to hear these different things that you're trying over on Chickamauga or Nick and Jack,
Mhm.
or we tell you about what we're throwing, and we get a lot of opportunities to throw some really, really weird stuff. And I just had some sent to me that I don't think they're going to work, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go out and try it. And
Yeah.
it's a bait that acts like a spoon, but it has a built-in spot where you can put like scent in it or something like that, and it slowly secretes out. And who knows if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, I just got some baits from Bruiser. I'm going to pull out something.
Steve Dial makes some pretty good baits, man. He makes big monster ones for down in the Everglades for them big bass.
I'll wait till I show you this. What he sent me when I made this order. If I can find it. Oh, here it is. He wants me to film. Not that one.
Oh, you got a snake there, brother.
that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's wanting me to film with me throwing this.
What's the length on that? Have you measured that?
I think it's 18 inches.
I think Callie from CNN Custom Baits is leaving. He made us some lizards 13 inches long.
Man.
And we haven't tried to video them yet, but we're going to try them this summer. But man, I can't wait to see some videos off that thing right there.
Yeah. So, Hunter, if you had this fishing down in Florida, how would you fish this massive thing?
I think.
Because I'm thinking weedless to throw it weedless and throw it weightless into some grass mats is how I'm going to throw it here.
That's exactly how I throw it.
With an 8-aught. Yeah.
I used a hook with an 8-aught.
8-aught.
8-aught hook.
Yeah, with no weight.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we would do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And because I've got 2 of them. And what we may do, or what we're going to do, so I'm just thinking of this as we're going. I've got 2. I'm going to give one to Pappy and one to myself. And we're going to see who catches the first. It may just be a video that don't go too much.
Oh,
But it may just be a lot of casting.
the challenge is on. We got it.
It's going to be a challenge. Look at this.
Guys.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's going to be a challenge of who can catch the fish because I'm the better fisherman, but I think it's going to be the challenge of what fish can eat that thing right there.
oh, they're going to eat it. Hey, Jerry, he would be surprised what will go after this, wouldn't he?
I know what to go after.
Hey, here in Florida, our bass eat a lot of snakes, man. They eat a lot of snakes here.
Yeah, I've seen some videos of people like throwing snakes, throwing snakes and catching some really good fish off of them.
Yeah.
So I got 2. I may have 3. I don't know, but we're going to go.
We're anxious to see which one of you is going to catch the biggest fish on it.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to get it, and we're going to do some things. And I would love to. I'm wanting to get. I've got like the buddy scale, or not buddy scale, the Bubba scale, the pro one.
Yeah, we do too.
And because I want to be able to get with a bunch of my friends and stuff that have it, because I want to do like one Saturday or something like that, to where y'all can be down in Florida, we can be up here, and we just go and we see what we can catch. Most weight wins, and it's just going to be bragging rights or whatever, Right. We may put a little wager down on it, but I think that'd be fun to be able to interact to work, because we can Bluetooth them together with the scales and stuff like that to be able to see what each other's doing.
That would be fun.
I think that would be fun.
That would be fun because, we all know they're capable of that. But to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen anybody hook them together and use it that way. No. So I think it'd be great to Bluetooth them all together and have a little friendly thing.
Oh, yeah. And so, I mean, we can, and we'll video our end, y'all videos y'all's end, and we can collab them together and do all that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we could probably go live on Facebook and set that phone up in the boat so you all could see it at the same time, and you guys could do the same thing and people could watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
pretty cool.
So
yeah.
Hey, but Hunter, don't get mad if you see that we're fishing your honey holes now. So, but I don't know. I don't even know how long we've been. Let's see, almost an hour and 40 minutes. So, so I want to say thank you again, Hunter, for coming on. Thank you, Jerry.
Absolutely.
And thank y'all so much for thinking of us to have us break the news with the youth club, because I mean, the potential of this is phenomenal.
Dude, I couldn't think of a better podcast to release this on. Colin, you and I go back a long time. We've known each other quite a while, and I know you're a straight shooter. I'm a straight shooter, and man, I love that you had us on. I appreciate coming in here. I appreciate meeting your new co-host last time we were on, and
he ain't got any prettier though.
Yeah, he's a pretty good fisherman. I gotta be careful. I don't want to pick on him.
Don't. Hey, the saying, Jerry. You've been around enough fishermen. When he says he caught one this big,
I mean, the proof's in the pudding. All right. Look, the past couple of times we've been out, he's received a spanking like a man. That's all I can say.
Now, would you rather catch more fish than somebody, or would you rather catch the biggest fish?
Now you got to put down that little minnow. All right, we ain't talking about that.
Hunter, what would you rather do? Catch more fish than somebody or a bigger one?
Say more fish,
or a combination, because that's what what I'm not. That's what I'm lacking in my partner over there.
Hey, when he puts me in the boat, or when I put him in the boat, or whatever, I will say he can catch some fish, but when we're needing to have something kind of that has a little shoulders on it, it always seems to fall on my shoulders. So
Ask him where he's catching those fish out of, though. It's all my spots.
So we have done good though.
Yeah, we have
this year, and we have fun.
Do you guys ever get the opportunity to team up and fish a team tournament there?
Well, we've been trying to, and we would love to, but it seems like every time we got a tournament coming up, our schedules conflict.
Yeah, we had one schedule, and we had we've had a couple of them. He had a death in the family. Then they had family medical issues. The next time, it seemed like the past 3 or 4 that we've had something come up, and it's hard for us to fish a Saturday tournament because of our
work
schedule for work.
Yeah,
so
I hear you.
I think we're actually going to try to hit some night tournaments and stuff like that to where we can do.
Hey, just
somebody says that they're a good night fisherman.
Just remember what Roland and I said about night fishing, man. You can use any color black lure you want.
That was when you said that, and that was the funniest thing that I've ever heard. Any color black that you want.
Any color black you want, man. Yeah. So, hey, did you see the video that Hunter did of the powder coating of the jig heads?
I've seen there's 5 or 6 videos that's on his YouTube channel.
You need to check out the one of the powder coating on jig heads, because man, you just take like a cigarette lighter and you heat that tungsten weight up on the ball head, stick it down in there, shake it on the edge, and then you go ahead and throw it in a toaster oven at 350 degrees for like 20 minutes. Dude, that stuff's locked on there. You never change that color. But I will tell you, if you like using different colors on your jig head, the blade dip that you saw on the spinnerbait blades will work on the tungsten heads, where you can wipe it off and change the color.
Really?
Yeah, so that will work. There's there's something you can use, not made for that, but still will work for that if you like using different colors.
Yeah. Because I know typically, like when I make my micro jigs, I'll use like a green pumpkin, and then I'll use like a gunpowder looking.
Gotcha.
And so those are my 2 main colors that I will dip for up here when I make my jigs and stuff.
Yeah, the problem that we're having is that Hunter and I are doing all these videos with the Lower Works moles and making the baits and doing the heads, and then right afterwards I'll get bombarded on Facebook. Hey, how much for a bag of them baits? How much for a bag of these? How much for 6 of these? And unfortunately, I have to tell everybody the same thing. We're not a retailer. We only make stuff for our personal use, or friends of ours. And when we come down to Chick, dude, we're gonna bring these baits that Hunter's now pouring for forward facing sonar, and we're gonna leave some. We're gonna leave some for both of you, along with the special heads we're using. God, they're deadly. They're deadly.
I love fishing jigs. I love it.
They're deadly.
Now, Hunter, would you rather use forward facing sonar, or would you rather not?
I'd rather use sonar. You'll see fish like moving, like seeing your bait drop right in front of them. You can actually see them like go right to your bait, and your bait will disappear and it'll go with the fish.
But there's also a downside to that, Hunter, and it seems to happen to me more than not. You see that fish come up to it, and then just turn right around and go the other direction.
We had those. They just looked at it and they just swam off.
Yep.
Actually, when we were on Douglas, if you saw them on forward facing, they would spook off. So that's what's happening. That pulse that forward facing gives out, they're starting to get used to that and know to get the heck out of Dodge. So what Hunter was doing there is he'd come by them and see them there, and he'd remember where they were, and he'd go right off them, and he'd cast out there, and he'd use his bait just as if he was watching it, watching it on the screen, and they'd bite when the sonar wasn't looking at them. But man, if you tried to fish with it looking at them, they would swim off, dude.
Yeah.
And I told everybody, let forward-facing sonar run its course, and it's not going to be as lethal as it was before. And it's already starting, but it's going to take more time.
Yeah.
Well,
really and the thing is, and like which we touched on this when you were on here a month ago, that people said the exact same thing to the side scan when it came out.
Yep.
And now look, it's on every unit that you can get. It has side scan on it.
Uh-huh.
And so, and I totally agree, because I'm seeing it more and more on Chick and on Nickajack, to where you cannot, some of these fish you cannot keep it on them because they'll start swimming.
Yeah, they know. In the past, everybody's fishing shallow water. Well, it's probably not my job to educate people, but I'll let this slip out. The one thing that a big bass would always remember about getting caught is the sound of a trolling motor. So you had to keep your trolling motor as quiet as possible and sneak in there. If you had 2-3 boats in one little area with a bunch of big fish and they're all hitting the trolling motor, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You're not going to catch them. Well, that's now starting to happen with forward-facing sonar. And they're going to get educated to it, and it's all going to work its way out of that whole system. And, it's great when it started, but remember what I said, people wanted to ban it because, you're watching fish live. Well, when you're fishing spawning fish, why don't you ban your polarized glasses because you're watching fish live? Yeah. There is no difference.
Speaking of sunglasses, Hunter, what is the sunglasses that you use?
I use a Bahio sunglasses.
Yeah, because the sunglasses that he has, Pappy, they were pretty stylish. And then I really liked them, so I wanted to make sure that I asked you, because I really did like them. So I need to see if they can do them in prescription.
They can, absolutely. RX, absolutely. Bahio, just go to the Bahio site. And let me tell you about Bahio. When Costa got bought out, they the new owners came into the Costa factory here in Florida and said, "Hey, we're letting the lease go on the property, and by the way, you're all fired." So
really?
all those employees decided, let's lease the building, let's call Sunglasses Bahio, and we jumped right away. And dude, they are awesome glasses. My wife used to say, "Hey, why you got 7, 8 sunglasses laying around the house here?" And I'd say, "Well, partly cloudy day, stained water, driving the car, bright sun." She go, "I don't buy into that." So finally, we were at ICAST one year, and I said to the girl, "Can you give my wife her own code for her own glasses?" She goes, "Yeah." So then I turned around to my wife and go, "Hey, why you got like 5 pairs of sunglasses laying around?" "Oh, don't you start. Don't you?" Yeah.
But
they do. Bahio does make them, and I'll send you a link to it if you want when we get off here. Yeah.
Sounds good. So, Hunter, do you have? Is it just the YouTube that you're on right now with the Hunter B Outdoors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to start a YouTube that's going to be called Kids for Fishing, and all the content stuff's going to go there also. He just did open a Facebook page called Hunter Brousseau.
Okay.
So
we'll definitely, I got that link in there, and then afterwards, guys, I'm going to put Gerry's social media stuff and Jerry's going to send me the link for the Lake and Bay. So we'll have all that together. And if you have any questions about the youth club deal, to make sure you reach out to Jerry. And if you want to participate or whatever, maybe help out with something. I imagine that they could use they wouldn't mind some volunteers or whatever, or sponsors or anything. Just reach out to Jerry. And again, we cannot thank you enough, Gerry and Hunter.
Hey, before you go, Hunter does have his own webpage called hunterbrousseau.com.
Okay, we'll put that on there as well.
And there's a video link on there. Some of his stuff he did with Roland's on that page. And mine's gerrybrousseau.com. And it's done by Pro Sites Unlimited, so it's top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely put all that on there. Go check them out. Go to Hunter's YouTube channel again, because I thoroughly enjoyed the videos, and I know that if I enjoy them, you're going to enjoy them. Go smash that subscribe button. Go, and I think he has 12 followers right now on it. I mean, it is a brand new.
Yeah, I just gave you a follow.
So nice. It is brand new, and let's grow this channel for him, and let's see what he does, because guys, we're going to be seeing him as he keeps on growing. We're going to be seeing him make some huge moves. He's already doing it, and let's give him the support and keep on encouraging him. And so, but we've already asked this question, and we've already asked y'all this question. But again, it's the end of the podcast, and we have to ask it again. So we'll go with, you want to ask Hunter?
Go ahead.
So Hunter, if you could have one person, could be passed away or still living, that you fishing with in a boat, who would it be, and why would you want them in your boat?
I went Toby Keith, because I've always listened to his country songs, and he was a best country song.
We spent time with him his last year at ICAST, and he signed a bunch of things for Hunter, and they gave him some baits. And his daughter Crystal has been nothing but very, very nice to Hunter, and always talks to us at ICAST and everything. Now I got a question. I want to ask you all.
Okay.
I want you guys to answer that same question, because you never do.
All right. Wow. Go on. You want me to answer first?
Yeah.
All right. I want to have two people, both of my grandfathers, on my mom's and dad's dad. I want to have them. I grew up fishing with my granddaddy, my mom's dad, and on Old Hickory Lake, and then on Kentucky Lake. So to have him, to go out and fish now with him, would be something special. My dad's dad, he did not. I didn't get to fish with him. I think maybe once, twice, but he got sick, and they didn't know. They wanted him to go to the Mayo Clinic and stuff like that to figure out what it was. They told him that what if they ever figured out anything on it, that they're probably going to name it after him. And so, but he didn't want to. He dealt with it for 12, 14 years, and then finally passed away. And so I would love to be able to get them on the boat and show them the technology. And then both of them would still love the fact that right now you could take a Texas rig out any time of the year and still catch some fish, because that's what they love to throw. Both of them love to throw a Texas rig.
Cool.
I've got two myself. I would want to take my dad's dad or stepdad. He's the one. I remember the first time I ever got on the boat. We was on the riverside out there at the dam, and I can remember we would run up to the dam and then drift all the way down the river, just catching whatever, really, you know. And that was such a good time. We even done some jug fishing. I mean, it was, you know, and being, God, man, I was young. And the second one would be Gerald Swindle, OG man.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go fishing with him for a day.
I think he just wants to go, Jerry, with him for the commentary.
Probably that too, but still.
Hey, you know what's cool though? Nobody ever asked you that question. It's nice hearing you guys tell us what you think. You know, 'cause you ask everybody that, but nobody's ever said to you, "Hey, why don't you tell me?"
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys shared that with me. That's something special. And hey, listen, we love you guys. We love the show. Keep at it, man. You're getting there. Man, I enjoy watching it every time I can. I appreciate every time you let us on there, and keep your eye on this guy, man, because he's going places.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, Hunter, we're going to try. It depends on. I got to look and see what the dates that you are in on Kentucky Lake. So if it's on our short week, I may try to drive up to Paris, Tennessee, and come and see y'all for a little bit.
Cool. We'd love to have you.
So,
yeah.
but,
let me look. Man, there's still a lot of people out there in internet land watching us.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what it is, because I mean, we we're almost hitting right at the 2,000 mark on average. So what we've done here the past month and a half of what we brought views on these lives have been phenomenal. So
great.
But I mean, we can't thank you enough too, Jerry. I mean, because you help promote. You come on here, and when we have somebody on that, and you'll ask questions, and that you know that people are really wanting to kind of know. So we thank you again, especially for the support that you have shown us. So
yeah, thank you guys. We really appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Nope. So we're gonna get off here. Fat boy's hungry.
Me too.
So go eat some pizza, Hunter. So
we're headed.
So all right, guys. Y'all have a blessing.
Y'all have a good one.
You too. See you, man.